You say you trust God. You'd write it on a card, you'd sing it on Sunday, you'd tell a friend in crisis without a second thought. But here's the uncomfortable question this video is going to sit with for a few minutes. Does that trust show up when it's time to actually decide something? Because trust isn't proven in the language we use. It's proven in the choices we make when the outcome is uncertain and the control is ours to give up. So I want to walk through 5 signs that a person can trust God with their words while still holding the steering wheel with both hands in their decisions. I'll be honest with you, some of these are going to land close to home. That's not condemnation. It's the kind of light that helps you actually walk somewhere. And at the end, there's a way forward that doesn't require you to have perfect certainty before you move. Let me name the frame before the first sign, because it protects everything else. Trusting God with a decision does not mean acting recklessly, ignoring the facts, refusing to plan, or treating every gut feeling as a message from heaven. That's not faith. That's just impulsiveness with a Bible verse taped to it. Real biblical trust is dependence on God joined to wisdom. Prayer and planning, surrender and counsel, faith and responsibility, held together. So as these signs expose the gap, don't hear me pushing you toward carelessness. I'm pushing you toward the harder, humbler thing, making real decisions with open hands. Here's the first sign. The first sign is that you pray for guidance after you've already decided what you want. This one's subtle because it looks so spiritual from the outside. You bring the decision to God, you ask Him to lead you, but underneath, you've already chosen, and what you're really asking for is a rubber stamp. You're not seeking His will, you're seeking His signature on yours. And the tell is how you react when the wise, godly people around you gently suggest the other direction. If a no from God or from mature counsel would genuinely be unwelcome, then you weren't really asking. Proverbs says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Submit is the word that exposes us. It means the answer is genuinely His to give, including the answer you don't want. Prayer that's only willing to hear yes isn't trust. It's a performance of trust wrapped around a decision you already made. The second sign is that you only seek counsel from people you already know will agree with you. Scripture is direct about this. Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Notice it doesn't say with agreeable advisors. Many advisors means a range, including the ones who'll tell you something you don't want to hear. And here's how the counterfeit works. You have a friend who always cheers you on, and a friend who asks the hard questions. And when you're about to do something risky, you know exactly which one you call. That's not seeking wisdom. That's shopping for permission. If the only counsel you can tolerate is the counsel that confirms what you'd already planned, then counsel has become a comfort mechanism, not a way of trusting God to speak through other people, sometimes uncomfortably. The third sign is that you treat a feeling of peace as the only green light, and any discomfort as a red one. A lot of sincere Christians have quietly built their whole decision-making on this, and I want to be careful because peace is a real gift, and Scripture does speak of God's peace guarding our hearts. But watch what happens when peace becomes the sole test. You'll avoid every hard obedience because it feels scary, and you'll justify every comfortable choice because it feels calm. The problem is that fear and peace are unreliable narrators. Sometimes the most God-honoring decision in front of you is terrifying, and the peace comes on the other side of the obedience, not before it. When God told Abram to leave everything and go to a land he could not yet see, obedience required him to move through real uncertainty. Faith often walks straight into discomfort. So if your rule is, I'll obey when it feels calm and I'll retreat when it feels hard, you haven't built your decisions on trust. You've built them on your feelings, and just given those feelings a spiritual name. The fourth sign is that you keep waiting on God as a way of avoiding a decision you already have enough light to make. This one's tricky, because waiting on the Lord is genuinely biblical. The Psalms are full of it. But there's a counterfeit waiting that isn't patience at all. It's paralysis dressed up as piety. You keep saying you're waiting for clarity, waiting for a sign, waiting to feel sure, when the truth is you already know the wise and faithful next step. You're just afraid to take it. James says, if any of you lacks wisdom, ask God, who gives generously. But he also warns about the person who doubts, tossed like a wave, double-minded and unstable. At some point, endless waiting for certainty stops being trust and becomes a way of never having to risk being wrong. God does give seasons of waiting, but Scripture does not promise complete certainty before every faithful decision. Sometimes trust looks like moving forward on the light you already have, and trusting Him with the part you can't see. The fifth sign is the one that ties them all together. You say you trust God, but you can't point to a single decision where trusting Him actually cost you something. This is the hardest one, so let me say it plainly. Jesus asked, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I say?" And He told the story of two builders, one who heard His words and put them into practice, and one who heard the very same words and didn't. The difference between them wasn't belief. Both heard. The difference was whether the hearing changed what they did when the storm came. James says it just as bluntly. Faith without works is dead. So here's the honest audit. Where has trusting God actually reshaped a choice, cost you money you could have grabbed, a relationship you should have released, a control you had to loosen, a comfort you had to surrender? If you genuinely can't find one, that's worth sitting with. Trust that never costs anything, that never changes a single decision, may not yet be trust. It may just be agreement. And agreement is easy. Trust is the thing that shows up in your calendar and your bank account and your hardest conversations. So let's bring this somewhere useful, because I didn't walk you through those 5 to leave you feeling exposed. If 1 or 2 of them named you, you're in good company. Most of us live in at least one of these patterns without realizing it. Here's the way forward, and it's not try to feel more certain. It's simpler and harder than that. Take one decision you've been circling, bring it to God honestly, genuinely willing to hear a no. Then take it to 1 or 2 wise people who won't just tell you what you want to hear. Weigh it against what Scripture actually says, and then make the faithful next step. Even if you're still a little afraid, trusting God with the outcome you can't control instead of waiting for a certainty He never promised. Psalm 37 says, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." Commit is an action word. You do the committing. You trust Him with the acting. Before you go, I want to make this concrete, so here's my question for you. Which of those 5 signs did you feel most when you were watching? The pre-made decision? The agreeable counsel? The peace-only test? The endless waiting? Or the trust that's never cost you anything? Name it in one honest sentence in the comments. Not to shame yourself, but because naming a pattern is the first step to walking out of it, and there's strength in doing that alongside other people. And if this was the kind of honest word you want more of, subscribe and stay with us, and we'll keep learning to trust God not just with our words, but with the decisions that actually shape our lives.